everybody. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of KittyCatGO Live, where we discuss various topics related to traveling and adventuring with your cat. I'm your host, Emily Hall, and tonight we're going to be chatting about therapy cats. It's a whole other world of adventure that you and your cat may be perfect for. If you're watching with us tonight, be sure to say hello in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Questions are encouraged along the way as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. Our special guest for the evening is Allison Hunter-Frederick. Allison is a cat behavior consultant, trainer, and educator. She has trained her own cats as well as taught others how to train theirs. Her youngest, Rainey, is a certified therapy cat. Allison is a winner of the Rebecca Park Scholarship. She has a certificate in cat behavior and retention from the Humane Society of the United States and a silver level certificate from Low Stress Handling University. She also has taken many additional cat behavior courses, including Fear-Free Shelter Program and Train Your Cat from the Karen Pryor Academy. She is on the board of the Pet Professional Guild's Feline Committee, as well as a member of the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants and the Best Friends Network Partners. Currently, Allison volunteers with Lincoln Animal Ambassadors, the Cat House, Lancaster County 4-H, and Love on a Leash. Her youngest cat serves as a demo for 4-H and her clients. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Allison on. Hey, Allison.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing all your knowledge with us.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, so...
And Rainey may at some point come down and be on the show.
Oh, yes. Everyone loves a cat appearance. She's welcome anytime. So we've got some people chiming in. Terry from Pennsylvania, Margaret from Maryland. Hey guys, thanks for watching. So Allison, tell us a little bit about yourself and Rainey and what you do.
Well, I am a cat behavior consultant, trainer, and educator. So I help cat owners with their cat problems. I mostly do consultations, so one-on-one through Zoom, but I also do some webinars and classes, sometimes chats, and I have 3 cats. All 3 of them, well, one comes from a shelter, one comes from a community cat colony, feral colony type of thing. And Rainey, our youngest, was found as a stray, and we fostered and succeeded with fostering, and we kept her. And she was been with us since a kitten, so that's been a really incredible experience getting to raise her and socialize her and train her and do everything from the time she was 6 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. And how old is she now?
She is 6.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have to think. Lose track of their ages.
Yeah, I do too. I always have to sometimes I have to go back and look at my blog to see when did I get this cat? When is their birthday? Or how long ago? Yeah, how many years ago? Especially when you have 7, it's what year?
Well, she actually might be coming up on 7 this spring. So yeah, she's getting up there. But yeah, I only have 3 to keep track of.
Well, that's still a crew. Well, hello to Sonia and Percy from Boston and Christine and Phoenix and Darren. Thank you guys so much for watching. But Allison, so you mentioned your therapy cat work with Rainey. How did you know that Rainey would be a good therapy cat?
Well, Rainey, from the time we got her, was very friendly, curious, inquisitive, into everything. She liked people. She liked anywhere I would take her. She liked going. I think, and she's also very affectionate. One of the words, though, that probably describes her best is, is it inflappable, unflappable, inflappable? But that thing of that, nothing phases her. And yeah, I mean, We didn't initially start out to be for her to be a therapy cat, but those are all the traits that made me think that, okay, yeah, she would be really great at doing this. And
Yeah. When did you start the therapy cat training with her?
Probably when she was, well, now I'm thinking. Now we got to backtrack. 2000. I think she's by 3.
Okay.
She actually, we started out with doing agility, and I wanted to take her places to do agility, but agility for cats in the public area doesn't exist the way it does for dogs. So we knew we'd have to travel if we were going to do that, and we knew we'd have to have a lot of exposure to a lot of people, a lot of places. And so I started doing that with her. But because there really wasn't a lot around in the area, I thought, well, she's got all these skills, and all these same skills that she needs to be an agility cat would be great to be a therapy cat. And I had thought of having our, we had a dog at that time. I had thought of him becoming a therapy dog. So I knew all the things needed to be done. And so I just thought, well, I'll train her to be a therapy cat. We'll do some great things for people, and maybe down the road we'll go back to agility, and maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think us who travel and adventure with our cats so much, it's also kind of the same what you were saying, like you started in agility and then realized, oh, well, the same personality traits, same training apply therapy cats. I think probably not every adventurer is going to be well suited for therapy cat work, but a lot of the
I
same
think a
training.
lot of them would be, because you need to be able to, and a big thing people forget with therapy cats, it is you need to be able to go to lots of places and lots of situations. Well, adventure cats do that.
Yeah.
The other thing is they have to be really comfortable around people. I don't know if all adventure cats need to be, so maybe that's one thing that would be different. But if they've got the liking of people combined with being a venture cat, and you're going to have to, I mean, for you to go out and adventure with your cat, you're going to have them on a leash, you're going to have to train them, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's so many things that I think an adventure cat would be. You can just go on in to be a therapy cat too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like with my cats, for example, I actually have thought about getting Sophie certified because she is not phased. She's kind of like what you were saying about Rainey, like nothing phases her. She's totally bomb proof, and she loves people and she'll go anywhere. But Kylo, on the other hand, he likes going places, but he's not really into the people. So I don't think he would be well suited.
Well, and the other thing with Rainey, and I would think that a lot of adventure cats are like this, is that Rainey was that cat. I know all kittens are very much into everything, but still, she was that kitten that as she grew up, it was so hard to keep her entertained and amused. She was always knocking off things, always wanting to be doing something. And so doing training, doing agility, going and doing therapy work was a way to channel all that energy into something positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's a good way to put it. Channel the energy into something positive. Very good. So we've talked about some of the personality traits and stuff that you should look for in a therapy cat. What kind of training and skills, like are there certain things that they have to be trained to do to become a therapy cat?
Well, they have to accept being on a harness, because any visit you do, they have to be on leash and harness.
Mhm.
Have to be comfortable with traveling. So the carriers, the strollers, any kind of transportation means comfortable going in the car, because you're going to go places, and you're going to have to bring them into wherever you're going in either a carrier or a stroller. So those are some things. And then it kind of depends on the organization that you get certified through. There's a couple big ones that certify Love on a Leash and Pet Partners. And Pet Partners has a class that you have to take, and you have to go through a lot of things to get certified. With Love on a Leash, you have well, I think with pet partners, I mean, you're going to have to be current on your vaccinations, and your vet's going to have to sign off and say that, yeah, this would make a great therapy cat. But with Love on a Leash, instead of going to a class, you do 10 visits at a place, and those visits are supervised. And then if those go well, then you are certified. But just because, I mean, in order to do well, Rainey knew how to do manners, so she could sit and stay and come. She I also some of the things that the pet partners test will have is that if people come towards her, that a cat that's kind, a person might be. They have to get used to all kinds of people. It could be people who are loud, people who are noisy, people who maybe their hands shake, people who are in wheelchairs. They have to be used to all kinds of different noises and situations. So elevators, sirens, there's that thing of they can't be fazed by anything. I mean, if you go to a place and something happens and they go into the bed and they hide and you can't get them out, and then it's like, well, this isn't going to be good, because they have to be able to adapt and be flexible. So I trained her for, trained her in manners, trained in the leash harness, trained her to get used to sounds and people, trained her to be respectful, be polite, be mannered in public. I think the other thing that is good is, some cats are naturally, they just get on your lap and they're affectionate, and they do that with everybody. A lot of therapy cats are like that, and I think that's probably a sign that they're going to be a good therapy cat. But not all of them necessarily start out that way. When Rainey and I started training, she would maybe get on a lap for a minute at best, probably not even that long. And so when we did our visits, like, she would sit near people, but especially seniors, they want to be able to pet a therapy cat. So I trained her to sit on a blanket that then I put on the person's lap, so that then she would sit on the blanket and then she would stay at the person. So there's different things you learn as you go that are good things to train them in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've been all over the place with that answer. I'm sorry.
No, that's really good. I mean, I would have thought like harness and leash, carrier, all of that stuff, but I hadn't thought about the fact that they need to get used to so many different types of people, like people in wheelchairs, and kids, probably if you go to maybe a
Yes.
children's hospital or
Yep.
something, like all kinds of situations and the sounds of a hospital. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, more than I would have
And some of
realized.
it you can learn. Like, we could have just had our basic the harness, leash, carrier, a few manners, and we could have done our visits and learned on the job, so to speak. But I know in Pet Partners, a lot of the test items, that's what they test you on. So we went through those test items, and I think those are great things to have. And there'll be things you will still have to learn on the job. You won't know until you get there. And some of those are things that you can learn as you go. When we started, the place we started with, I told them Rainey is this cat who is a one-on-one. So they started us out with one-on-one. But then as we started doing more variety of people and places, we ended up sometimes being in groups. By that time, she had grown into that. So the other thing I wanted to mention was, it's also, I mean, we're talking a lot about the training that a cat needs, but it's also things that the owner should be aware of. It's really good to know their body language. It's really good to know their signs of, are they enjoying this? Are they uncomfortable? Do they need to go to the bathroom? All these different things that could come up, because Rainey looks to me as she trusts me, and I'm her guardian, and so she expects that everything's going to go well and she can trust me. And so I need to know her signs of, are you doing okay in this situation? Is this situation too much for you? Do we need to take a break? And we have one time, she wasn't feeling well, and I I took her outside and she was sick and we called it a visit. But
Yeah.
she could have ended up being sick inside if, where the person was, if I hadn't known that, or she could have got stressed. And so
Yeah.
it's really good to build that relationship and learn about what your cat's telling you.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's something that, is a big thing with adventuring too, is you're going new places with your cat, being able to recognize, is this too much for them? Are they stressed? And those signs may be different, for each cat. So knowing your particular cat
Mhm.
is so important in building that bond and that sense of trust. So question from Terry. Terry says her cat is great at agility, but isn't really people oriented. We are thinking this is pandemic related. Do you have suggestions for starting to get her adjusted to people eventually?
So I would probably do one-on-one, and I would probably maybe, start with someone who you can have come visit, and they can give treats. They can sit with her cat and just kind of hang out with the cat quietly near the cat, get them used to a positive, uh, you know, create a positive association with a person, and start with someone that that you can kind of tell them, this is what I'm trying to do. And this is what I want my cat to eventually know. And then you can add more of those experiences. Um, and then there's other things, like maybe take them to some low key areas. Take them to a store where you're allowed to have a pet, where it's more low key and they can kind of get used to there being a people around, but kind of on their own terms, because there's not a lot of people coming. There's not a lot of people around, and so they're just kind of getting used to the fact there's people around. But give lots of treats, or lots of, if they like to play, have little toys there. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I like the tips about having like a friend come over and get them to give your cat treats to slowly acclimate them. Could you do that also, I guess, probably in a store, with strangers even, maybe, like ask a stranger. That might be kind of weird to be like, "Hey, will you give my cat a treat?"
Well, but I know that there was, and I don't know how we do it with the pandemic, but I know prior to the pandemic, one person who was training their cat for being a therapy cat, uh, I think it was a hardware store, where she asked, could I set up a little place where me and my cat are and have a sign saying what we're doing? And she just said, I'm training my cat to be a therapy cat. Could you? And she gave instructions of what to do. And
Hmm.
so got used to it that way.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, when I was training Rainey, I had friends over, and then I had people who were maybe casual acquaintances come over, and I had them, you know, just that positive interactions. But then I also had them do a little bit of, stroking or holding or doing things that people would do if she was being a therapy cat and visiting them.
Mhm. Yeah. I like that idea about setting up somewhere and like getting strangers to come do it. I know it seems like a pet store would be like a really natural place to do that because you're gonna have pet lovers there already, and they would be
Yeah.
like super excited, be like, "Oh yes, I want to come pet your cat." That's
Well, but I've been, and you've probably had this, when I've gone to stores with Rainey, like craft stores and stuff, they're not used to seeing a cat there. And so then I'll have someone come up and say, can I pet your cat? And I just love cats and I love seeing your cat here. And they're always so respectful of, and that's a great way to have it happen, because you don't want someone just coming up and starting to pet and then spooking your cat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Um Terry also was wondering, if you found masks to be a challenge for your cat with them not being able to see people's faces, because her cat looks at her and doesn't do well when her people are masked.
Hmm. I haven't had that an ish. had that issue myself, but I know that people have brought that up, and I know that it has happened sometimes with dogs. And I think then it's maybe, I mean, you can get them used to seeing a mask on you because you can, wear the mask and give them treats, or wear a little bit of the mask and give treats, and then a little bit more, and kind of get them used to it. But if they're looking to you for that facial expressions, that's kind of hard. I mean, you might have to do more of the visual gestures and more of the voice, and get them used to looking to you that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the masks are struggles for sure, even with people interactions. But I've noticed people are getting better at smiling with their eyes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Margaret is wondering how you trained Rainey with loud noises. Was there something she was afraid of that you overcame together?
Well, and that is a really awesome question, because I went when we were doing agility, she was afraid of loud noises like the teeter-totter and things like that. And then when I got into agility work, my biggest fear was, she is really noise sensitive. And so it's like, I don't know, is she going to be able to be a good therapy cat? Because if we have construction, or there was one year when we had fireworks, those kind of things scared her. So one of the things we did, was we kind of thought of the sounds that she might encounter in the places we went. Like if you go to a senior place, you might hear dishes clanking and dishes falling, things like that. So we did that in our kitchen. So she kind of got used to some of those noises, and we praise her for not reacting. Uh, but also another thing is, it depends on the noise. I mentioned teeter-totter scared her. So, you go up the teeter-totter, and then when you go down, there's that thunk.
Mm-hmm.
And she was terrified of that. And so we gradually exposed her to that. So we controlled the teeter-totter, like my husband would hold it on one side, and just, it was barely the thump, and we would give her a treat. And then it was a little louder, and then we give her a treat. And then it was a bit louder, and give her a treat. And then we just let it go. And that would be the way that a person can do with loud noises, is have recordings where you can kind of control the volume, or have some sounds that maybe you mute a bit, if there's a way to do that, and then get them used to that, and then have the normal sound.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the she still doesn't like construction. But and I find that really interesting. I mean, I think sounds must be different as far as what they hear, because with construction, she doesn't like construction to the point that if maintenance people come in the house, she will go somewhere else. She just recognizes they're maintenance people, and she doesn't like it. But we have been in a senior retirement place where a siren has gone off, because
Ooh,
somehow the doors didn't shut right, and so the emergency sirens are going off and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, she couldn't care less. She's just sitting on the person's lap, fine.
that's funny.
And I never trained her to get used to sirens, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how some cats are just like naturally fine with certain noises, but not others. You'd think like construction and sirens would like be the same, you know?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I want to mention something else that I mean, I said earlier that sometimes you learn on the job. Something
Mhm.
else I discovered, and I know again, cats can be sensitive to smells, but some are more sensitive. Something we learned on the job was that she is very sensitive to perfumes and chemicals. And so we had this lady that we would visit who would go to the hairdresser, and the first time that I took Rainey to visit her, Rainey didn't want anything to do with her. And I was like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know why. She's never done this before. She loves everybody. And we figured out the timing was that this lady was going to the hairdresser. And so the things you figure out, and you don't have to be all things to all people. I mean, some cats won't mind that, and maybe they're the one to go instead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That wouldn't have even crossed my mind, the smell.
It didn't to me either.
Yeah. Well, kind of getting back into, you talked a little bit about the process of getting certified and the skills needed. Um, can you go into a little bit more detail about like if I decided I wanted to sign Sophie up to be a therapy cat, like what would my steps, my step-by-step process be?
Well, the main two organizations that I know that do certification are Love on a Leash or Pet Partners. They're the national ones.
Hmm.
Um, with Love on a Leash, it's contacting Love on a Leash, and then both places you're going to fill out paperwork and that. But with Love on a Leash, you have to have your cat have a vet visit, and they make sure you're current on everything, make sure they're healthy. They also evaluate their temperament. And then if the vet signs off, then the next thing is you're finding a place that will allow you to do some visits.
Hmm.
And I started with a place that a friend of mine who was doing therapy work was going. So she knew the person there. And so I was able to uh, have someone that understood our situation, understood what cats were like, understood that we were starting out new. And so she was a really great supervisor. And we did 10 visits and were supervised, and she had to take notes, and those notes got sent to Love Unleash, and then we were certified. And there's the annual fee for being certified, which covers your insurance. Uh, if it's Pet Partners, uh, they will have a class locally, and you go take the class, you do the training stuff, and you do the exam, and you have to pass the exam in
Hmm.
order to get certified. And the main difference is that Love and Unleash is one that if you don't have anybody local, you can still get certified, whereas Pet Partners, it has to be somebody local that can test you. And so there's a bit of a difference. And then sometimes there are, in a state might have, there might be an organization that's in the state that's just a kind of more regional thing that they will certify you. Uh, but Pet Partners and Love on the Leash are the two big ones that I know. And the other thing that I would say is there are a couple Facebook groups that are very, very helpful with um, all the stuff to do with therapy cats. There's a fan page called Therapy Cats, and then there's a more a group for if you want to go a little bit deeper, like you're probably going to get certified and you're going to want questions to ask questions, get questions answered, that kind of stuff. It's called ICAT, so International Cat Assisted Therapy. Um, and they were so supportive and helpful when I started. I mean, I asked all kind of questions, and when I had some doubts of whether we could do something, they said what they did, and they also shared their stories and their experience and gave tips of all these different places that we could go socialize. Rainey, one of the cool ones was just taking your cat in the car and going through a drive-through, and maybe just ordering a soft drink, something really quick.
Hmm.
But they're getting the exposure of going, going for that car ride, going to new situations, some noise, but fairly low key because you're not staying there that long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great that there are such helpful resources. Can you say that one again in case anyone missed it? The what was it, iCat something?
Yeah, it's I can't. I'm gonna see. I should probably send you the link after so that if people want to, I'm trying to see if I can find it quickly. Yeah, it's ICAT. It stands for International Cat Assisted Therapy.
And is it on
Um,
is it its own
it's on
website?
Facebook.
Oh, it's on
Uh,
Facebook.
There's also a group called Therapy Cats, and that's the fan page for the group. And that's actually probably the best way to go through first because the other is a private group and it can be a little bit hard to find. But you go to Therapy Cats and you can ask questions, and then it also will have the link of how to get to their private group.
Okay. Um, I oh gosh, sorry, I'm searching on Facebook to see if I can find the link to it. There are so many coming up. I'll look for that later, and I can post some links for anyone interested at a later time.
Well, and let's see. There, I put it in the chat.
Oh, cool.
And also, so that's the group. And then let's see
All
their
right,
fan
posting link
page.
now for anyone interested.
Because it's one of those ones that it's hard to find. And so if you don't actually have the link, it's kind of hard to. And
Yeah.
it's kind of more for people who are really serious about getting into it. The other one that I just posted is more the fan page, and it just talks about what therapy cats do. It shows adventures of the therapy cats, and it's a great one to start with. So if a person is like, well, I just want to know a little bit more, I don't know if I want to do this, I'd start with the fan page. And then if a person knows, like, yeah, I'm pretty certain this is the way I want to go, uh, the and the group is really good at answering questions and that you have.
Cool. Well, I just posted the links in the comments for everybody on YouTube and Facebook. So if anyone is wanting to look into either of those groups, check the comments. The links are there. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing those resources.
Yeah, well, they were so helpful to me. And if a person goes through a group like Love and Unleash, where a lot of the training is what you do yourself, it's really helpful to have a group like that. I am really appreciative that Love and Unleash exists, because I wouldn't have been able to do this without them. But you have to, you're a little bit more dependent on figuring it out yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of places can you go as therapy cat? Like, I'm assuming maybe the obvious, like nursing homes and stuff like that. What are some other places?
Well, and I kind of think it's like pretty much anywhere that you're accepted and that there's a need, because people don't have to accept you. This isn't a service dog thing, so they can say, I don't want you to come. But if there's a need and they accept you, so yes, there's assistant living, there's retirement homes, there's hospice, there's hospitals, there's libraries when they have those read to a pet programs. There's children's, like, boys and clubs for kids. There's university students, college students, going near exam time, or just in the middle of a very stressful time. There's I know there's at least one lady I know who goes to the airport. And I think that one's probably a little bit more unusual, because she's pretty well known for it, and you get pretty well known for something because it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a wide variety of places that you can go.
Yeah, what kind of places does Rainey like to go?
So we visit seniors and kids. We started out in a senior apartment complex, actually. But I think our favorite as far as seniors is probably the assistant living and the hospice, because, well, for me, because they get so few visitors, and it's so wonderful to be able to give that happiness at a time when they don't get a lot of visitors. A lot of them can't have pets. And with hospice, of course, you're nearing the end of life, and this is something uh, very special. Rainey and I, actually, one of the first people that we started seeing, we got to see her and see her and see her, and then we got a call from the organization saying, you probably want to visit this week if you're going to. And we got to be with her the day before the lady died. And Rainey, I don't know if the lady was in bed, kind of laid out in bed instead of just sitting in a wheelchair, and so maybe that's what the difference was. But Rainey curled up right next to her and just kind of slept there with her for a while, so I don't know if she kind of sensed that something was going on, and that was really special to us.
Yeah.
And I guess we enjoyed going to the library when we were able to do that. And with the library, she sits next to the kids, and she sees, with seniors, they do a lot of wanting to pet her and a lot of talking to her, and she seems to really enjoy that. With the kids, she does like that, but she'll get a little bit restless after a while. Um, and then the only one that we've been able to do during the pandemic is we got to go our first time to a university, which I was so excited to do. It was to a nursing college in the university, and we were going to go speak about therapy cats, and then it ended up that it was kind of mostly just they wanted to have therapy pets there to kind of for the it was stressful and they just wanted some stress release, and it was so nice to having all these faculty and students coming through and giving her attention. She just loved it. She just lapped up all the attention.
That's awesome. So that actually brings up my next question. You mentioned you have only been able to go to the university since the pandemic. How has the pandemic like affected therapy cat work, and are you able to do it now?
I would say, let's see, I think in the States, I think it was like March or April when the pandemic kind of like we knew this was going to be a really bad thing,
Hmm.
and the senior places, retirement places, the hospice, the library, they all shut down their programs. None of those programs have opened up again except for hospice. I have been asked to fill out the paperwork for the hospice place that I go to, and then we actually go to two hospice places, and uh, one of them is smaller, one is bigger, and we were mostly doing the smaller one. But I also heard from the bigger one, and they were asking me, would you be willing to do this again? Could you fill out paperwork, get your credentials kind of updated because we'd like to have you available. Uh, I'm kind of in between of whether I want us to go because cats can get COVID, so
Hmm.
I'm worried for Rainey's safety. Uh, and we just haven't been doing it for a while, and so I'm not sure yet whether we're going to get back into that. We also did a few Zoom. I think the first year of the pandemic, a lot of places kind of adapted of they had Zoom sessions and meet a cat, meet a dog, and you didn't even have to be certified for that. I mean, you just had to have a cat or a dog,
Hmm.
or actually pretty much any animal that could
Yeah.
give seniors happiness. And
Yeah.
that we did that for a bit, but Rainey really likes the actual sitting, and I'm sure the seniors would be the same. She wanted those in-person visits, so she kind of when we did the Zoom session, she didn't really understand why I was
Yeah.
making her sit at a computer.
Yeah.
Uh, so the only things we've done since the pandemic is we did get to go to the university uh, to visit their nursing college, and then we also part of 4-H. And 4-H, we kind of go on the if the pandemic's kind of on the climb, we do a Zoom session, and if it's not, we meet and we kind of have that social distancing and controlled space. And she's a demo cat, and she gets to meet the kids, and so I guess we kind of took it like a lot of people in the pandemic. We kind of took a different direction with what we're doing.
Yeah. So, what is a demo cat?
So she shows the students how to do agility, how to do manners, so the sit, stay, come.
Hmm.
Um, I also will have her demo for my clients, and that is by Zoom. But for 4-H, it's just demoing things that I teach them.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so yeah, it's just she shows the different things that I want them to learn.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess yeah, that's the basic way we've been going with the pandemic. It just kind of changed direction of what we're doing.
Yeah. Well,
And we're
that's
educating them on, I mean, a lot. I think the very first 4-H session, we asked them what they wanted to learn and also some things they had learned. And one of the 4-H attendees said, "Well, I learned that cats can do tricks. Yay, we're already educating.
yeah, that's
And now we're
awesome.
teaching them to do tricks."
Yeah. That's so cool. That's great that you've been able to find some things to get involved in that even though they may be a little bit different, you've been able to pivot and find new activities to get involved in even with the pandemic going.
Well, and I really like that we found 4-H, or well, rather, they found us because Rainey and I started it with seniors, and then at some point when we had some friends over and they had the kids came with them, and I discovered that Rainey loves kids. That's when I got into the reading program. Very, very, very sad that we lost that, and there's no sign of it coming back. So the 4-H lets her be around kids again, and I think before she came to me, I mean, she came to me at 6 weeks, but I think maybe she must have been with a family of kids or something. I don't know, because she just loves kids.
That's funny because so many cats don't like kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are some, well, I said before, you don't have to be all things to all people. There are people who at therapy work, they're only seniors or they're only kids or they're only university students because either they or their cats or both that's not their group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta find your lane, I guess.
I'm going to see if she'll come down for a minute. Just a second. She is in the room with me. Hi, come here. Come here. She probably will only stay for a minute, but she'll be a lap cat for the people we visit, but when she's with me, it's on her terms of whether she's a lap cat.
Doing therapy cat now, making us all smile and feel better tonight. She's so cute. Such a pretty girl. So I'm looking through comments to make sure I haven't missed any questions. And you had mentioned cat agility. Darren is wondering if there's a national directory of cat agility programs.
I know there's the Cat Fancy Association has an agility section. Beyond that, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to look that one up because I know that I looked for people who were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only, and it is national, but I don't. And I know that they do list, different places that offer it. So, okay. Sorry, I've now lost my screen. Lose my screen. Get back to you. Oh, shoot. There we go. Okay, sorry. Okay. I put that one in that is the one that I know of. The Cat Fancy Association Agility. They will know whatever is going on nationally. They'll know what is going on in the different states. That's how I discovered that here in our state, there's only been maybe once or twice that cat agility's ever happened, and nothing recent. By recent, I mean prior to the pandemic, I was looking like when she was 3 or 4, and there was nothing recent at that time.
Yeah.
But there is more on the East and West Coast. So I would check out their site and see what they offer. And if there's a cat agility show coming near you.
Yeah, I'll check that out for sure. I haven't heard of that being anywhere near me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just dropped the link for anyone watching. I dropped the link that Allison was talking about in the comments. So check that out if you are looking to find more information about cat agility, which I think is pretty cool. That seems like also another natural avenue that maybe some adventure cats would do well with.
Yes, although surprisingly, I looked the other day on Instagram because I was trying to find some more people for us, more accounts to follow, and I was looking for cat agility, and I think I only found 1 or 2 current, and then I found maybe a dozen that are not current. As I'm surprised there's not more out there in social media. But I know every now and then there's someone who pops up who's doing agility, and you see all the different YouTube videos and different things, and then you don't hear anymore, and then someone else pops up. And I think adventure cats would love it. I mean, it's you're doing a sport, and that's kind of when you're going out and adventuring, you're kind of you're walking, hiking, boating, doing different things that could be that some of them are sports.
Yeah. Going back to the when we were talking about training your cat to get more comfortable with loud noises and sounds, Margaret asked if you thought that maybe they could play YouTube videos of noises and gradually
Yes.
expose those new noises to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually how when we have foster kittens and I'm trying to socialize the foster kittens, once they've gotten settled into a place, I will go in and I will just find some different videos on YouTube and play them and get them used to them that way. And of course, praise them and reward them if for well, actually, I mean, you should just give them treats, period. I mean, it's not even rewarding. It's just give treats, do play, do anything positive while they're hearing the sounds, and that way they'll
Mhm.
have a positive association.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, Another question from Darren. He's wondering, are therapy the cats the same as ESA cats?
No.
Okay.
ESA cats are an emotional support animal, and to have an ESA, you have to have a doctor say that you need this for your emotional needs. And then that means that in an apartment or sometimes on a campus, in those situations where you might not be allowed to have a cat, that this gives you permission to have a cat. And as it's hugely used, like if you're renting and you need a cat for your emotional support, then you get a note from a doctor, and then that means you can the landlord has to accept your cat. Um, and emotional support animals are not trained, which I think it would be good if they were, because emotional support animals, well, again, another place is airplanes. You can take them. Depends on the airline now. I mean, we had a
Yeah,
whole bunch of controversy over that one.
yeah.
But there are cats and dogs, for the most part, you can take on an airplane if it's an emotional support animal. But there was a whole controversy because not all of them are trained. And so you can have some ones that are not really well behaved. So I think an emotional support animal, is good to train them so that if you're taking them out in public or giving a good name to cats. But with a therapy cat, you are going and visiting other people and meeting their emotional needs. And you do, I mean, some places will allow you to do it without being certified, but most places require you to be certified, and the certification gives you insurance in
Mhm.
case something goes wrong, which is always great to have. And it also just lets people know that you've gone through some kind of training and you put some thought into this. And when you go to if you go to a hospital and there's a therapy dog and you have a therapy cat, hopefully they have been exposed to other animals. That was another thing we did with Rainey. We exposed her to dogs. So hopefully they've been exposed to a different species and they're going to react nicely. So there's training involved, and there's a bit of making sure things are going to go well, and you're going out and doing stuff for other people. The emotional support animal is for living with you in your home.
Mhm. Yeah. So basically emotional support is for you, therapy cat is for others.
Hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Let's see. Scrolling through comments here. Oh, here's one from Christine. She's wondering why Pet Partners says you can't have any metal on the harness. That's interesting.
And I don't know. That's
Yeah,
a good question.
that is
But
weird.
I didn't get certified through Pet Partners, and I know organizations will have their different rules, and I'm not sure why on that.
Seems like it would be hard to find a harness without metal because you need that like D-ring to clip your leash to. It's weird.
Yeah, I would say that's one that, going back to the therapy cat group, I would put the question in there, because there are a lot of people in there that are from Pet Partners, including people who are trainers with Pet Partners, and somebody's gonna know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. Oh, Sonia says that she's working with her cat Percy on doing agility. So that's pretty
Yay!
cool. Oh, and I'm
We
seeing some
need
comments.
lots more agility cats, and we need lots more therapy cats.
Yes. Yes. Sonia and Joshua both have also said that for the emotional support that cats are not accepted anymore. It's only dogs. And you have to pay for them
Well,
with service dog certification.
but also make sure that we are not mixing ESA and service animals because they're also different.
Yeah.
The service animal is, so say if someone is legally blind, it's to help with that. It's to help with a particular need, usually physical need, whereas an ESA is more that emotional needs. And with service animals, I know dogs, I believe horses, and I feel like there was one more, but I know dogs and horses are, those are service animals. Cats are not recognized as service animals, although we do have some cats that have saved their owners when they've had medical issues and that do know how to recognize that. So there are a core of us who really believe that that should change.
Yeah. Yeah, Joshua actually also asked, are therapy cats service animals, and if cats could be service animals, but they can't be.
Not at this time. Um, I wish they could be because there are ones that exist that can do what service animals do. But no, ESAs and service animals and therapy animals are three different things. And how they get, I mean, ESA, there is no certification, it's just having a doctor's note. The other two, you do have to have some certification. The service animals has been around for a lot longer, I think. And so there's a whole lot more organizations out there that are certifying, but only dogs and horses. I think with therapy work, there's probably less organizations out there doing it. Um, and also, I would say that again, going back, we need a lot more therapy cats. We don't have near enough therapy cats to meet the need that's out there. And unfortunately, right now, you probably can't do that. But once the pandemic is over, I encourage people with adventure cats to consider getting their cats to become therapy cats.
Yeah, you've definitely reignited my interest in it because I had even actually gone so far as to have Sophie evaluated by the vet and filled out the paperwork and everything with Love on a Leash. This was, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. And I got to the point where I was reaching out to places in my area to see if we could come do the supervised visits there. And I reached out to our big nursing home assisted living facility and told them what I was doing. And they wanted to know if Sophie was declawed. And
Mm-hmm.
I said no. And they didn't want us to come. So I got really
Well,
disheartened and I just kind of like gave up.
and that's another thing that the Facebook group can help with because a lot of them have run into different obstacles. I mean, cats as a whole are less accepted in the hospitals. Not that we've had a lot of success in changing that, but they know the reasons why they can be rejected and they can help with if a person wants to kind of try to get them into a hospital. They've dealt with the issue of the cats have people have allergies to cats, so how can you do that? And as far as the decline one, I mean that would have been, I mean they may have just been putting it up because they really didn't want to, but if they really were genuinely concerned about it, I mean the thing is to just put a blanket or a bedding on the person, then put the cat on the bedding or the blanket, and then if the cat jumps, they're not going to scratch because the blanket's in between.
Yeah.
And as far as like the arms or anything like that, most, to be a therapy cat, they have to be calm and they're not going to be scratching a person's arm. The main time that's going to happen is maybe accidentally if they get startled and they jump down, but then you put a protection there.
Hmm.
So there's little things you learn to deal with the objections that can come up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know another one that has come up. Um, Actually, my Facebook group yesterday was that some organizations don't allow you to feed a raw diet. Um, I guess supposed transmission of bacteria or something like that. So
Yeah. I've seen that. I don't know how that one's being addressed,
yeah.
but
Darren is wondering if anyone has addressed the transmission of diseases between people and animals, and can therapy animals spread diseases to the elderly?
I mean, they can. That's true of dogs, cats, any animal, but it's also true of a person. If I go into a room and I go from one room and then I go to another room and I don't sanitize or do anything in between, I can transmit. So it's a matter of being careful when you're going from room to room. And, with cats, with adventure cats, they are out more in the public, but a lot of, like Mike, Rainey, a lot of the time is indoors, which means there's not a lot of things she's going to pick up. And she does have to be current on vaccinations and things like that in order to be a therapy cat. So it's, you just have to be careful. And there's sanitizing things that people put in place, and so there's measures there to make sure that it doesn't happen. There's been research done on it. I mean, anybody and everybody can pass something on.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yep. Darren, was asking about the raw feeding. So for that, I saw that Pet Partners does not allow raw fed cats, but Love on a Leash does. So your if you have any state or local organizations, they may have their own laws, but that's what I found out yesterday in my Facebook group.
well, and that's something that if a person wants to get certified, I would check out what are the things Love on a Leash require, what are the things Pet Partners require.
Mm-hmm.
One may be a better match than the other. Even if you have a local representative for Pet Partners, it may be that Love on a Leash is a better fit for a different reason. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also, Pet Partners has a lot of education, a lot of training, a lot of, uh, and they offer more programs, so you can kind of, I know, like they had, I don't know if it was for, I guess probably not for cats. Well, but I know, like they had for emergency situations, you could get trained to do that with an animal. So they have a variety of things that Love on a Leash doesn't have. So it's just a matter of checking into the different ones or into your state one and seeing what is going to fit me best.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go with a national one, I would do a little bit more digging into a state one just to make sure of, how they set up the program and what their requirements are, and making sure that they are putting thought into the program and not just rubber stamping you.
Yeah.
And I would avoid, I mean, with ESA and service animals and therapy animals, you can go online and you can download a certificate that says you're certified, but that doesn't give you anything. And when you go in and the first time you experience a situation that you weren't expecting, you're going to have no idea how to handle it because you weren't trained for it. And you're going to have no one backing you if anything goes wrong. You're not going to have any insurance to cover you. So uh, it's
Yeah.
just check out the different ones and see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I have, and I think I've hit everyone's questions in the comments. We'll start wrapping things up. If anyone has any, last minute questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. And I'd also be curious to know if anyone watching either live tonight or on the replay is already a certified therapy cat team.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, so let us know. But I'm going to go ahead and start dropping some links for Allison in the comments. So tell us about, where can people find you online, Allison, and what will they find when they find you online? What can they go to you for?
Well, AllisonHelpsCats.com is my business site, and they can, there's, or if they want to, generally if they have a behavior with a cat, but it also can be if you want to enrich your cat, if you want to train your cat, those kind of things. I do offer those things. Most people come to me for behaviors. Now, those are the emergency situations. And then, well, like you have up there, Rainey the Therapy Cat on Instagram. Rainey would love to have followers. Oh, and I would also say she does love to interview people who are out having adventures or doing therapy work or doing agility. So if someone wants to reach out to us, we can do an interview.
Yes, Sophie has
Uh,
been interviewed by Rainey before.
yes. And then YouTube does have a section where it has training. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what it's under, but I know one of the thing is under the cat trio. So that's our 3 cats, and I'll have videos there of them doing agility. And the other section might be training. But it's in sections and it show different things. There's tutorials and there's stuff on socialization and enrichment. Yeah, the training one, there's a training both of what we have, like I've done with my cats, but also I did teach classes, and so also videos that my students sent. So yeah, that's where they can find me, and
Cool.
I'm happy. I get inquiries about so many different kinds of things, so it's always, this is a fun business of that I never know what I'm going to expect, and I always love helping with any kind of situation with a cat.
Yeah, that's awesome. Keeps, yeah, like you said, everything is different. Every day is different. Well, I just dropped the link to Allison's website and YouTube into the comments. So, you guys go check her out there, and then Rainey the Therapy Cat on Instagram. And we did have someone comment. Sandy says that her cats are certified therapy cats, and that's Nimbus and Lacey.
Hey.
Nimbus and Lacey are therapy cats. So that's cool.
So she needs to reach out to me, and Rainey would love to interview her cats.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Allison, for joining us tonight and sharing your expertise and your advice and help. I appreciate it so much.
I thank you for having me, and I hope we inspire people for their cats to do more training, do agility, do therapy work, anything that's just, I mean, cats are so smart and they have so much they're so fun, so much to give. So
Yeah.
any of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. If you have any more questions or want to continue the conversation about anything, join our Facebook group, KittyCatGO Adventure Team. And you can also go ahead and mark your calendars for the next episode of Kitty Cat Go Live, which will be Wednesday, March 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And my guest will be Kimberly Freeman, who is known as the Lost Cat Finder. So we're going to chat about techniques you can use to successfully find your cat should they ever go missing. Of course, we obviously hope that never happens, but always good to have that information to be prepared. But thanks for hanging out with us tonight, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening and happy adventuring.